Welcome back to the lab. Friday morning. It's nearly 9 o'clock. A bit lazy this morning. Haven't really got a game plan for today for you. So let's just crack on with things and see what happens. First things first, we'll finish off these two brackets that we started for the Barina, Abby the Barina. The idea of these is, even though the arms are sitting relatively flat in the car, you can move your shock absorber across this distance, right? And your shock is at an angle like that, so the further it goes that way, the more it will push the car down, but the softer it will make the effective spring rate and damping rate. You can adjust the spring height, excuse me, croaky throat this morning, and you can adjust the damping, so that's fine. The reason why we haven't made something that gives us height adjustment this way is because of the design of the shock body. You can fit the shock absorber in the top hole here. If you try and move it down to the next hole down, you crash into the shock absorber body, so you can't do it that way. You have to do it that way. That's right. How do we get all these nice and straight like this? Are they nice and straight, or are they going to look crooked on the camera? They look straight to me in person. Cross slide on the old semi-reliable mill here. It actually managed to do that. This is a mill drill, so you can take your milling fitting out and you put a standard chuck in there, put a drill bit in there, and away you go. Line your bits up in there, square to the bed. If you put them in here, you're going to drill across at an angle, aren't you? So square to the bed, and then just use the cross slide. Just like that. There you go. All you guys who didn't do engineering at school or do it for a living, that's the advantage of doing that. If you try and mark these things out by hand and dot punch them, you'll get them reasonably close, probably within 1/10 of a millimeter or so. But if you try to smash them in here and just do them all by hand, I did pilot drills on the mill drill, and I did the big holes on this drill press. That little puppy there, I'm pretty sure will explode, even though it's supposed to be able to do 20mm diameter drills. 13mm drill in there, nah, it's going to break it, isn't it? It's she's weak sauce. Can't he handle that? So let's get the other holes in this and get that mounted into the other arm. Then Abby will be rolling. We'll see if our courier package turns up for the bits, with the bits for the BMW. If not, I might be making a start on this with the excuse, sorry about the flashing from the lights, with the excuse that we're waiting for parts. This sounds like a good plan for a Friday. Just in case it was a bit hard to see what we got up to in the car, that's the inside. It's the wheel hub end of things. M6 screws in there at the moment. These will be M8. Okay, so don't be trying to tell me they're teeth mill and they're gonna break. Yep, sure. So this is all about not having to do significant work on the lower suspension arm for the customer going forward, so he won't have to return to me if he busts one of these tabs off or whatever. Speaking of these tabs, looking at that and thinking that might be too weak or whatever, just bear in mind that that's the entire strength that arm has there. Those two little, we could measure that, call it 3 or 4mm thick cast aluminium tabs. There's not a significant amount of strength there. It's strong enough to do the job, right? So it's only designed to have a spring on there to hold the weight of the car. It's not hard mounted. If this was a solid bar from here to the chassis and you had that, they'd smash off all the time. So, and penny washers on there for now, as per what I just said, they would be upgraded to M8 at least, larger diameter. In here we can probably go to a scrap metal drawer, pull out some thick aluminium. It's even gonna, well, it probably would if it didn't have the tab hanging off the side of it. Modify that anyway, chew a little bit out of it, stick that in the base, just to spread the load out over the general area. just to try and help. It's not going to experience a lot of force that way anyway. Only just the weight of the wheel. If it goes over a jump and the wheel bottoms out or tops out the shock rather, that's it. That's probably going to be fine. Even if you left that M6 for what the car weighs and for what it's going to do. Loud noise wasn't that bad, was it? You probably would get away with M6, but we will upgrade to M8. Okay, let's go fit that in the car and see what we do next. So Abby the Barina has rolled outside. It's just after 10 o'clock. Sometimes we see couriers about this time, sometimes not. More likely 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, maybe. We'll see if we see our parts today. But anyway, I've decided on something a bit ambitious. We're going to attack this thing here, this front of this thing here. There's a few things going on here. I'll stay back here with my wobbly hand. Sorry if that's making you seasick. So, first of all, why is this part from there to there? Why is it that wide? That's 1200 millimeters. That's the standard aluminium sheet. But it comes in 2.4 length and 1200 wide. So you could go wider than that. Correct. Our pan brake / aluminium folding dooflicky thingy there only does about 1240, I think it might be, if you're ambitious, 1220s, 30, something like that. So you kind of make your parts to suit the tools that you've got. So that's why that's 1200 wide. Of course, that then dictates where the bottom of these guards ended up. And then it also dictates a few other little bits and pieces that are non-consequential and none of you will care. But it originally, it's gone very dark, hasn't it? What's happened there? Never mind. It had some speed holes along here. You'll see way back in some older videos and all that sort of carry on. We had speed holes there. I've taken those away to try and get more air into the car. Why do we have speed holes there? Because that's where the original factory bumper, you can see that panel line isn't lining up with this very nicely. That opening only came to about there somewhere. I didn't think that was enough air for the car. And it probably wasn't with all the factory fins and whatnot in there. So we had some speed holes at the bottom. Then later on I was like, I can make this all lighter and get more air in by just chopping it down here, doing away with all the speed holes and opening it right up like that, which is great, except it's now actually too big. It's far too wide this way. So what I'm thinking I can do is, rather than going across the sheet, which limits us to this width here, and then we have to try and make something look nice by, I'll use a pen, does it look better than my finger? With a line going up here to fill in this gap, and it's going to leave a little funny little triangle in the bumper there. We can go along the sheet and we can cut out a piece that goes up there like that and goes out there. We can go across there. That'd be alright. We might even be able to do even slightly better than that. We might be able to take a line from this corner here and come up to there. Blend that all in down here, across there. Bring that up a tiny little bit so it lines up with the bottom of the intercooler radiator thing, that line there. So it'll merge this all into one piece and increase strength, increase weight as well. But if we're making these things out of carbon fibre, which I think we probably will eventually, that should do that. And something else I want to achieve is this radius is not right. It's good, but it's not right. We can make it better, because if you look, the bumper actually comes out, when the bumper's in its right spot, which it wasn't before, it comes out further than the bumper. So if you imagine you've got a big flat panel on the front of your race car that's trying to do 250 k's an hour, that's going to create more drag, more wind resistance, make it harder to push the car through the air than if you have a nice big curved panel on there. So it kind of works a little bit backwards to what you want to think. We actually want to reduce the radius on this to get a bigger curve. And everyone's like, Glenn, you're mental, that's wrong. Well, I drew a little picture before and I tried to explain it and I got myself all twisted up and backwards. So let's start over here. If we start with a 5mm radius, you'd get a 10mm diameter curve, like that. If we start with a 1000mm radius, you get a 2mm diameter curve, which is probably something about like that off the top of my CNC controlled hand. So, and as you can see, that's flatter than that. We actually want more curve, which is this, which is a smaller radius. So that's what I want to achieve there. So I'm gonna, there it is there. I did bring some out the other day. I'm gonna get some paper and I'm gonna figure out where we need to be. So come up, I think we need to come up to here, to that panel line. If we come, I can draw on this car because it's mine, and possibly putting a new bumper on it anyway. If we come to this panel line here, and we come down to here, we're going to fill in that gap like that. This is all going to be aluminium, all the way through to here, and then we'll come down, and then we'll go down to here, and we'll have a nice radius onto that. It should look better. You'll have to excuse Metallica in the background there. I better delete at least one of these. I've accidentally drawn something that we shouldn't have on the front of the car, even if it's only temporary. There's some rude-minded people that probably have figured that out. That better go right now. A general idea of the shape that we're sort of thinking about, that I'm thinking about. There's actually quite a large piece of aluminium. All this weight that we've been taking out of the car, and here it comes back again in pounds. But never mind, that's fine. Like I say, this is really, there's a mould to do this as one piece from carbon fibre. Probably end up lighter than what we have now, I would imagine, hopefully. This is a damn good song, this. Copyright issues and all that, so I can't believe it going. What do you reckon? I think it's a little bit fat there. I did bring that up a little wee bit so it lines up better with the intercooler radiator, but I think it's maybe just a bit chunky. So 10 mils off that. Don't worry about the wrinkles and stuff. That's can't stretch and shrink paper very easily. I think that's about where we need to be, bearing in mind it's coming out further than what it needs to be, and these things, and you won't see this line here. You won't see that anymore. So ignore that. That's sort of what we're looking at there. That's a bit better. Aerodynamically, a bit betterer. You guys will remember this, eh? Not the song. The folding this inside this curve trick. There we go. I want a reasonably large radius on this. This could be where it all goes wrong. Then we have to start again. That's a good start. It's not perfect by a long way, but better than welding that edge. Alright, we're starting to get some shape in this. So that's good. You can see there's a bit of a curve down the top as well with the shrinker. So that's good. It's all going well. Oh, what's this? Oh no. There goes my excuse for doing the March today. That's our parts for our BMW that's hiding over there. What if I just... That's good. Right, so the next thing we need to do is shape this a little bit better to fit with that. We're getting there. This is actually going to look really good. Oh, that's where you drag it across the front of the bonnet that we're probably going to replace anyway. Scratch the paint. So we're not far away from what it is at the moment, but the top is probably about right, this bit here. The bottom just needs to come around a little bit more. First sort of test fit, that piece taken off, that piece put on. Yeah, I think that chin sticks out a little bit too far at the moment. It looks a little bit, oh, it looks alright from the side. From the front it looks a bit naff. It might look better on the ground, looking from, it looks very happy as everyone's commenting. It does look happy. Might flatten that out just a little bit across the middle there. Just a cosmetic thing. Very subtle tweak and a couple of things and it's looking much better. So I took some of the curve out of there, gave it a larger radius so it's flatter, and put some more in this area here to line up with what's going on here on the panel work. Looks heaps better. Like obviously it's not finished. Long way from finished. But that's heading into the direction that I want it to go. There might need to be some panel lines that I haven't designed into it just yet, just to make things look more betterer. We are definitely going to run out a day. But that's stuck to that. It's a big piece of aluminium right there. Definitely going to have to do something more with panel lines. I've done some. You can see there's actually a line that runs through here and it runs all the way around our little intake there. Very 2K spec Z32 reminiscent. Quite like the look of that, so I've repeated that. A little bit of tidying to do with all that stuff. But that's just about ready to, and this one is supposed to follow through and then do a turn and follow up. Sorry, with that one, and the other one, which bends the other way, comes down here, and I need to make that go down to there. Not bad for a Friday afternoon's work. It's the general concept of where I'm going with this. I will have to stitch on a bit of a radius there. I'll make one up and then stick it on. That'll do pretty much the same shape as what the masking tape is there. And then we can get ourselves there's a lot of work here to go. So if anyone thinks that's finished, and you're dreaming. It's obvious there's heaps more to go. Please don't make comments like, oh, it's not very finished. We can get ourselves a new factory bumper, or a replacement one. Might come from Nissan King. They might have a silver one with all the clips attached here, and then we can just trim it off down the edge there and along there. We might be able to just epoxy it on, or double-sided tape even will probably do the trick. I can possibly get really clever and weld some tabs onto the back of this so that the factory bumper slots in and is held into place. Then we don't have any screws on the front of it. Makes it look nice. Probably worthwhile if when we go to the carbon fiber version, just to incorporate what's left of the factory bumper into it. It's not that complicated. We can even do some slightly better grills. That's going to look really good, in my opinion. I even put that there because the reflection off that was making it look like it still had that little box on the corner. Come out! Give me my fake carbon fiber! It stole a bit. Stole a bit of my fake carbon fiber. See that? Looks like it's got the box on the corner, doesn't it? Eesh. Okay. So, hang on, we've got a parcel here somewhere, haven't we? I heard a parcel. Hang on a second. Alan from the Skid Factory made a comment a couple of videos ago, I think it was, about unboxing. You're not a YouTuber unless you're unboxing, and they forgot to unbox. So they reckon they lost some points, so I'll unbox for you. And then last time I opened something up, one of my mates was like, you need a bigger knife. It's dangerous enough. I don't want a bigger knife. Hurt myself with it. What have we got in here? I know what we should have in here. Goodies. Ooh. It's actually a really expensive box given the size of the box and the apparent lack of things that are in there. So these puppies here, that allows us to, as you can read, we can put these fuel pumps inside the fuel tank. then we don't have to find somewhere to put our great big heavy basically obsolete Bosch 044s. So a pair of Bosch 044 fuel pumps, that is approximately 2.5 kgs. A pair of these puppies is about, I think it's something like 600 grams. So 2 kgs of weight gone, and we don't have to try, oh, the bonnet's closed. We don't have to try and find a spot to fit the big fuel pumps when we've kind of moved everything around in here and made it very hard to do. And I don't really want to put them on the floor inside the passenger compartment and then build a panel over the top of it to make it nice and safe and everything. I'd rather have any weight that we've got as far forward as we can. Basically, with this car, the design philosophy has been put all the weight way out here to counteract my big fat bum sitting in there and the big motor in the back. But of course, we've the motor and gearbox. We've lightened the gearbox up with our HGT precision sequential box, which is 33, I think it is, kgs lighter than the Nissan Navara D22 diesel box that was in there. So there's a whole heap of weight that's disappeared from the middle / rear of the car. So we can still keep the car quite balanced and get rid of a whole heap of weight elsewhere. So that's what we're doing. Right, what else have we got? We've got a couple of those. We've got, oops, it's noisy. Everyone likes unboxing things. Got some of those. They hold our 200 series fuel hose. And we've got some doubles. So the doubles take care of the 2 lines that come from those pumps and go towards the back. And the singles take care of the return that goes back to the tank. I wanted triples, but they don't do triples. They only do doubles, or they do singles. Triples would have been nicer, but hey, whatever. Some bulkhead fittings to get the fuel out of the tank, and some stuff and things. There should be nuts for them. There should be some aluminium weld-ons. There's washers. There's some ferrules. Where's my aluminium weld-ons? My -6 weld-ons. Oh no. Oh no. Oh well. Looks like they didn't make it. It's going to make that hard to finish that this weekend. But, I mean, I've got other things to do, right? So, sun's going down. It's getting dark. It is near enough 6 o'clock. We're done. Right. Cheers, bye.